All right, hello everybody. Welcome to Bolt Lighting Rental with a Meet the Gaffer episode. We've got Luke behind the camera. My name is Matt Stouppe, and we're here with Jason Joseffer. Jason Joseffer was the DP on this film called The Alternate, and I was his right-hand man as Gaffer. I guess The Alternate is thriller, sci-fi, indie feature film that we did with Alrik Bursell as director.
And it's about a guy who jumps back and forth between his world and another world where he finds a better version of himself, or at least that's what he thinks it is, and then it turns out maybe it's not.
The other you created this thing, this portal. It was a fluke. We traveled through it to another world, to another version of our house.
You okay? This is our house, Angel.
We shouldn't be here. We can't be parents. I've only been there once. But Jake, the other Jake, he kept going back.
How could I do that? Who are you? It's no fun if you never win.
I think it would be good to kind of start off with like how we went into the movie and like what we planned for, maybe some philosophies behind the lighting and some conceptual / logistical issues we kind of had to like deal with as far as like making the lighting make sense or especially with continuity, I would say, right?
Right, yeah. We had a pretty high ambition going in with very limited resources and somewhat challenging locations.
I would say
we had our work cut out for us on this.
Definitely.
Yeah.
One thing that I can remember, now granted we keep all this in mind, not today, it's 2022 and we went into production at the end of 2019, so I've reviewed my notes and BTS photos and watched the movie again and tried to stir up as much memories as possible, so sometimes things might be a little little foggy on the memory end, but in film there's a lot of you call it cheating or movie magic or whatever, where you know an exterior of a house and then the character walks in and then we cut and we're shooting on like a totally different location to shoot like the interior. And so I think because of that we had to kind of think about where these places were physically, and especially to the orientation of, I guess, the start, the sun, like in Jake's basement, for an example.
We sort of built out the basement set in a garage port at one of our house locations, and early on we discussed with our production designer about putting windows in so we could bring light in, establish different times of day. And in doing that, we sort of made a compass around the house. We're like, this is north, this is south, and east and west, so we could sort of track our sun directions.
Right. I mean, it could have been very easy, especially with the basement having such small windows, to just kind of give it one look almost, whether it was day or night or whatever. But
and I remember there was pressure to do so, actually.
But we were just like so ambitious and so excited to like make a movie together and like wanted to like go all the way with it that we like really spent some time making a compass and figuring out at what times a day in the script where the sun would be and everything. I actually have a photo of your notebook. There's like all the scenes listed out, and then like and what time of day, like on a cheat sheet rather.
Right, yeah.
So we were like, oh, what scene are we on? Oh, we're on scene 38, and then we could look at the sheet. Oh, it's supposed to be like late afternoon. Like, I think we developed maybe like 5 different looks for.
Yeah, and I think when we were doing like the blocking rehearsals, your team was out there looking at those notes, and you guys I think even had like marks on the ground, and we're like, oh, the sun's here for the midday look, and getting a jump start.
Totally, and just kind of pre-lighting and getting things roughed in, and you know, things always get tweaked to the relationship to the camera, but you know, so yeah, that was interesting to kind of. I hope it comes across, you know. All that time and energy, hopefully it matters.
Yeah, totally. Talking about that location, so it was a garage carport that Art build this whole set, and then we had really low ceilings, which is very challenging for lighting. So I don't know if you want to talk about choice of units and how we approach that.
Yeah, we got pretty lucky. The budget was so tight, and yet we needed support. And so the director reached, and I think maybe some producers were involved, reached out to some lighting manufacturers. We got Felix Lighting, based in Richmond, California, just down the road from us. And Light Gear donated a handful of lights down in LA, some light mats, which was really great because we totally utilized the light mat 2Ls from that donation for the basement, because they had a lower profile light that we were allowed to help augment the basement window lights with those light mats and tuck them up as high
sucking them up into the joists, because when we're talking low, these were like 7 feet probably to the ceiling joist, and then there's the extra 10 inches we could get there, which had a natural little snoot on it too, in a way. I remember that. I was like, oh, if we get it right up there, it could like self-snoot itself.
And then we put a source in the center of the basement. It was a handful of AX1 Astera tubes, which was pretty neat. They were we didn't have to run power up there, and we could stick them up there and make them any color. And I think we put diffusion around it, and that I think that worked a little. I think we did that mostly for alternate Jake's basement, if I remember correctly.
I think you're right. Schedule-wise, we did our first week of production in that spot, then did a bunch of other location stuff, and then Art rebuilt it to the alt Jake world, and we came back and did that. And all the lights you put up there, remember they had a lot of effects, like when he first jumps into that world and he turns on the light switch, like that center light dimmed up and the wall accents came on. And
totally. We had
some
to
fun stuff with
patch in the pinball machines and all kinds of stuff. That was fun. That was cool. I think the Astera kit really was a heavy hitter, I think, on that movie. With the iPad and the wireless control, we did a lot of gags with it, and just.
You mean these guys right here?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Speaking of which, the portal light, portal light gag,
or as you guys called it, the whirly durly.
Look at this thing. This was the rig for. We used this to light the talent to mimic the portal gag. So this is basically a low combo with a 90-degree junior adapter, and then on it, in the junior adapter is what we call the whirly durly, and with 2 Astera tubes, and we would just rotate this slowly with some sort of effect on it to mimic the light gag. Which I think worked out pretty fun. That was probably one of the more fun.
You guys were able to match the colors in that really closely to the portal. And the portal we did somewhat practically. We had a projection of the portal on the screen that he's working with, and then we also rear projected it too, and then we had to line those two up, and that was I
was telling Luke beforehand, what was the reasoning to back project and front project on it?
Well, multiple reasons. One was that so when he got up to the portal, wouldn't just see a shadow on it. So he was, and in the original script, there's supposed to be that his shadow doesn't exist on it. So it was sort of like an early way to think about it, was to do it all with the rear projection, and also just to get.
But then we wanted to see the cool beams from the practical,
which was the reason for the front projection. And just the two adding together essentially bought us a stop of exposure, which then when you get all of our lighting in there, we could actually light and then have something bright enough to exist practically. Otherwise, it'd be so washed out. Like I remember. Alrik, our director, came to my garage once. We did a couple little tests of just the portal stuff, and when I turned on the little garage light, it was so washed out. I was like, man, it really needs extra. So
so the double projector just helped for exposure.
And the rear projector was a much brighter projector than the front one. And the front one is also sort of a prop too.
It was a prop, so we saw it in camera, so it couldn't be this super expensive thing, because Jake wasn't.
Especially in the original Jake's world,
original Jake world, he couldn't afford a projector then, so it wouldn't make sense.
But the portal, so it's got these swirling colors, and I thought you guys were able to match those colors really well.
Yeah.
And as he gets close to it, anytime we looked at his face, this guy would come in and we'd spin it and we'd kind of get that effect.
Shadow play. I think we put like black. I think we did so many different things. I think we put like a covered wagon type of thing with diffusion on it.
Right.
But then because it was one source, we didn't really have the shadow play on the face as much as like we wanted. So then we blacked out the center of it. So it basically created like two separate sources, which allowed to have a little more shadow play on the
I
face.
don't remember that at all.
Yeah.
Everything was such a daze, but yeah.
I know, it all blends together.
Yeah. I remember it evolved. I feel like at one point I felt like it had more side tubes on it too, or something.
I don't know. I've got some BTS where we did it this way, but I do remember originally having long arms coming out of it to because the further away the sources get as it spins, the more kind of shadow play. But again, I mean, I think what resulted into us doing it this way was that the height of the ceilings in there couldn't accommodate something big to like spin around.
And there's some really good, in the early cuts of the film, before the VFX was done, I'd see like Ryan Moore, our key grip in there, spinning this thing. he's like in the early cuts of the movie, before they like erase that part of the frame. So it's like a locked off shot, and then like our talent has to jump through the portal, and we had a stunt coordinator would put pads down and all the stuff, but you saw all the things beyond the frame. I guess a good segue to talk about camera movement and shooting style in the garage scene. Those low ceilings really mandated we could never get low angles, which was really hard.
Because we would see all the lighting.
We'd see all our stuff, so we had to be really selective in like the camera height or where we were in the room, so we didn't see lights.
Well, I mean, I think we could have done that, but it would just take way more time that we just like did not have. We could like de-rig that light or put it somewhere else or whatever, but like there was just no time.
And I think we had a good gap around the edges. Like I could see some ceiling, but I remember that being a hard
pretty
thing,
difficult
camera-wise. But we did have a lot of camera movement too. We had a Fisher 11 dolly, I think it was.
No, I think we had a 10. Actually.
We had a 10. Yeah. So
we
had the bigger dolly, the bigger Fisher, which is great because it allows for like smooth boom movements on the dolly, and we did a lot of that.
Yeah.
Ryan Moore was on that dolly. We'd push around, and oftentimes we wouldn't even set track if the ground was smooth.
Yeah, and it was pretty smooth.
Yeah,
I remember.
Yeah. We did like just compound movements and sometimes we even had a slider on the dolly, and we would slide and pull back and boom down, like all these things together.
Yeah, no, there's some pretty impressive camera movement, which really kind of brings it up in production value.
Yeah, we did some fun stuff.
Which is pretty neat. You even brought it on the jib, right? The Apricot Express?
No, we had a porta jib.
No, we had a real porta. Okay.
Yeah. Well, actually, speaking of that, so I recall one cool movement thing we did, which we have a sample of, is when we're on the dolly with the jib over the bed and the camera's upside down, and story-wise our talents just come out of this crazy experience in the other world, and he wakes up back in his life and his whole world's upside down, and we shot him camera face upside down, and as he sits up, when his wife comes in, it tilts up and booms down. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
totally. The camera like flips, and that was a cool. I remember that it's funny because in the cut it's like 3 seconds the shot, but it was a tremendous effort because we had the camera on a gimbal, on the arm, on the dolly with remote control wheels, so I could remotely pan and tilt the camera
right, because you couldn't physically be
because we're like overhead on him on the bed.
Yeah. Wow.
In a smallish house, crammed against the window. Yeah.
Maybe let me just segue real quick to the lighting package, just to kind of talk about what was in that package. We had an M18, and I don't even know. Do we have a Joe Lico? We must have had a Joe Lico.
I think so. Oh no, we did.
We had a Joe Lico.
I can remember specific times. Yeah.
And I think that was kind of it for the HMI package. And then we had, Felix was very gracious, donated a lot of gear. We had some of the single matrix. I think there was 4 of those.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We had the 2 Q8s from Felix, and we had a quad, I believe it was a Matrix quad on there, and they even let us take out, which at the time was kind of a big deal. I'm sure, it's out now, the Mag 4K kind of orbiter kind equivalent, if you could call it that, which was pretty neat. Yeah, and then we had a handful of light mats, like I think light mat 4s and light mat 2Ls. There might have been like a light mat 1 or something like that, something smaller.
And I think there was even a light mat 8 in there also.
No, we didn't get a light mat 8
No?
from Light Gear, and I don't know if Bolt had a light mat 8 then. And then
And,
I don't
and
know.
just quickly, I think worth mentioning the reason for the light mats too was that we had one pre-light day for the film, and we just rigged as many of those into the basement set as we could, and in places that would function in both worlds, so they could just live there, run a show.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So
like a select amount that was specifically for that location.
Like we ran all the wires, and we had like where the ballasts are and everything, and kept them there as much as we could.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think for the most part, maybe 90% of those things just stayed on that set, which was really great. Yeah. And then I'm sure we had some tungsten stuff. The AX1s, the first Astera kit was on there, which was huge, I think. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that was our lighting package.
Right. Yeah.
And we had a 3-ton grip truck, and the grips and electrics both had to work out of the truck.
What size generator do you guys have?
I think we brought. I don't know. Most of the time didn't have. I don't. Yeah, we
No, I
had
remember the generator. I remember you running out to the generator and doing things.
Oh yeah. Just a 7000, I think. It must have been a 7000 and a 2K. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember. I remember having to like rain cover the generator.
Yeah, no, I remember like, and also we shot this in December. It was a rainy, wet, cold time of year. It was a little hard in that way.
Yeah. That was it definitely deflated morale many times. But that's part of like filmmaking, right?
Yeah,
is just
right.
being deep in the muck, and but at least being together,
Yeah. You want to talk about moving into the bedroom scene?
Yeah. Okay.
We've done a
the
couple.
day interior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The day interior. The alt Kris is walking back into her bedroom where she finds Jake, who's posing as alt Jake. And I remember camera-wise moving down that. We had the camera on a Movi, and I'm preemptively moving down the hallway where it sort of feels like it's a POV, but then she turns into it, and then we end up following her in.
Yeah, right.
And then we get into the room, and it's supposed to be like a morning, sunny time of day in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we used like a matrix or something. There was something coming into the hallway from like the living room or something, right?
Yeah. Oh, and I remember talking to you about it, wanting to make it hard, so we'd catch her shadow before we saw her. Like we're trying to like make you feel like it's her POV, and then we like give a little hint of that it's someone else, and it's like her shadow turns, and then she turns into the shot.
Nice.
So I remember there was some sort of story work behind choosing a hard light for that.
Oh yeah. Really? Okay. Yeah. Cool. Nice. Yeah, and then they go inside, and I think we just took as much daylight units as we could and pushed it, closed the curtains and just glowed it as much as possible. And right? Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, I think that scene worked out pretty good.
And I really like how the windows looked in that. I feel like it was like, really glowy, like you say.
Yeah, right.
And part of that's probably worth mentioning, the camera package where we had vintage Cook lenses we were using, which sort of tend to glow the highlights a bit. So that particular situation really worked well for that. Yeah, totally. I'm trying to remember, like when you flip around, did we use negative fill, or was there just enough contrast in there naturally that we didn't? No, I think I remember bringing in flops.
Yeah, because it's pretty contrasty scene, right?
Yeah.
We brought in a bunch of negative fill, off-camera stuff. Yeah. And on the flip side of that, one shot I would love to talk about is when I think Jake he sneaks back into alt Jake's world, and I think alt Jake and alt Kris are like in the hot tub, right? And he like sneaks through the house and spies on them.
Right. Yeah.
That was pretty complicated. I remember.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. On several levels. Yeah.
Yeah. On several levels, and I even remember hiding off camera somewhere with a tube. And I walked like right behind you, and then when you kind of start to come around and see his reaction of what's going on, I floated in a tube that matched the color of the pool light bounce and stuff like
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess maybe I'll list off the challenges of that scene.
Yeah,
So,
right.
First off, it was December and cold, and we had actors in a pool.
Right.
And I remember that being really kind of awful for them. We had to be like really conscious about how long they were in there for, and they were like getting warmed up between takes.
Right.
Yeah. And then the other part was when the camera's moving on the movie, we had two camera packages. One which was a Red Epic Helium, which is more light sensitive, and that was the camera that was sort of the A camera on dolly and sticks. And then the other one was an older Red Dragon,
That's
which
right.
was
Wasn't there a
which was
stop
lent to
difference
us, and
or
it's
something?
like when we're like beggars can't be choosers situation
Yeah, I
in
know.
indie film. So, but that camera was considerably less light sensitive.
Right.
And so I remember you chasing around the tube. I think it was like this thing like, oh God, I just
Like
can't
we
get,
need more light.
can't
like,
get the exposure because
Yeah.
we like lit this thing for the other camera, and now we're on this one, and it's going to
Right.
be too noisy if we crank the ISO up higher than it is. Yeah, so I remember you coming in there with the tube, like
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. So we come in on the movie, and then he lands in his sort of like voyeuristic point of view, and that's when we jump back to the A camera, where we had it locked off and had a split diopter in. Do you remember this? So that
Yeah,
both are
totally.
in focus. So it's sort of an optical trick. It's sort of a
Right.
stylistic thing.
And
that we
which
did.
kind of helped too, because wasn't Ed, we can call
Mm-hmm.
him, that's the actual actor that plays Jake and Alt Jake. He was in both shots,
Right, yeah.
practically, but
Yeah.
we were allowed to do that because you're a split diopter and you like married the two images.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's like
in
locked off
post.
shot. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you could have done it in post, but doing it optically with all its flaws sort of felt right, and that's something
Yeah.
Alrik had mentioned wanting to do.
Yeah. Now, like especially that scene, there's like a lot of color going on. Let's maybe talk about that.
Yeah, why don't you talk about the pool skip, which is a big player, I think,
Right,
for
yeah.
the alt world.
Yes, right. Yeah, definitely. As I watched this is kind of a segue, random thing, but when I watched it again to kind of prepare for this discussion, I didn't realize how much water references are in the movie. Like Jake's last name is Del Rio, which means the river,
Right. Oh,
right?
wow. I never thought about that.
Yeah, and then there's like all this pool shimmery light,
Mm-hmm.
and even the portal kind of is this mix between this fluidity, liquid / smoke type
Mm-hmm.
of a, I don't know, there's like a lot of water references,
Right,
I
yeah.
would say. That
Yeah, it's true.
I don't know, it's like, it's just kind of interesting when you like go
Mm-hmm.
and watch something and see it all put together, and how these themes, I mean, they're
Mm-hmm.
almost like subconscious, or like, because I don't think Alrik was like, we need a lot of lighting
Right.
or like water gags,
Right.
thematically in this movie.
Yeah.
It just kind of,
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah.
but
yeah. Well, I think it's like some of that's sort of the subconscious too, right? Like
Yeah,
how things kind
exactly.
of happen and something
Right.
works and you stick with it. So like backing up even further, when we did like a funding teaser for this, we skipped the M18 off the pool, and it did this whole shimmery effect in the house, and then
Right.
that's something we carried through to the film.
right, yeah,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah,
and I
totally.
remember that's like something you'll see in a lot of the alt Jake scenes. Yeah,
Right,
I remember
right.
you guys put blue, like steel blue gel.
Yeah, I was
on.
gonna say we put a certain color on there, and I'm trying to think of why we did that. I think it was just like, oh, we're skipping it off of water, like, and let's make it
Yeah, enhance
weirder.
it.
Yeah, and I think the color contrast to that was just interior practicals that were really warm, and I think the location like actually had those IKEA, for lack of a better word, pillar type of
Very orangey light.
a paper lantern-y type of a thing, and we just thought they were cool, and like,
Yeah.
and we just put we'd put our own bulbs in there, and
Right.
that was Alt Jake's world. So I think we did have kind of a thematic lighting philosophy on some level,
Right,
besides
yeah.
those like exaggerated moments,
Yeah.
like the pool skip and stuff like
Yeah.
that, which I think was like a cooler look, right?
Yeah, but cooler but saturated. It was like deep
Right.
color. Yeah.
Right.
so
I think it was more about like this kind of moonlit stuff, whereas like regular Jake's world was more like this urban-y kind of sodium vapor vibes, right? I kind of remember thinking that in Jake's world, that in his basement, there was like a street lamp outside that was like coming into his place,
Yeah.
where
Right.
in Alt Jake's world, it was more about like night ambience or something, which was much more blue.
Yeah. Right.
But then, I don't think it was too like one-sided, because there were moments in Alt Jake's world that were very warm and not blue, like the scene we just talked about of old Kris walking in and finding
yeah.
Jake in bed or whatever,
Yeah.
which was a very warm kind of a scene.
Yeah, and I think they weren't strict rules, but
Right,
they were
yeah,
like
but they were-
guidelines
yeah.
to sort of like getting
Right.
on the right thought process. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
We'll continue with the pool scenes. Then we got outside, and now we're shooting the scene of them in the hot tub, which, as I mentioned, wasn't as hot as the actors probably would have liked. But I remember framing that scene up, and we're under the gun, we got to go, and it was just missing a little something. And then
Right.
you came in with a
I think
hard
it was
source.
a Q8, the Felix Q8. It was like an LED Fresnel, I think it's bicolor Fresnel, and which are excellent lights. And I think that was just motivated off of an exterior security.
Yeah, the
light
house had
type
those
of a
little
thing.
lights up there.
Yeah, we had it far enough away, or the shadow quality was nice, and just it spread really nicely.
Yeah.
And we dialed in the exposure, and it excuse me. Yeah, that was kind of a backy kind of a source, almost kind of like a real far side key or like an edge or something like that, and it backlit all the steam that was coming off the pool, and just it was like the carpet for the room of the shot. You know?
Yeah. I just remember being right there with the camera. I remember being kind of locked in with the pool on one side, the hot tub here, a very expensive camera there. And I remember you were racing around. You're like, "Oh, I got just the thing. Hold on." And you're like telling them, "Just give me one more minute." And you got that light up, and it just made everything so much better.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
That's
I'm very
one
grateful
of the,
for that.
Yeah. One of the more very vivid imagery
Yeah.
sets in the shot. In the movie. Yeah, super cool.
I love the pawn shop scene that we did.
Yeah.
I don't know, I remember the location was so rich, and what we did lighting-wise, I was really excited about.
I mean, honestly, I don't remember too much about the lighting that we did, but I'm sure we can piece it together.
Yeah.
But that actor,
I'll jar your memory.
I don't know if that actor was part of
slick.
that location or if Alrik found him. But
he casted him. Yeah.
He was a trip, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that was like a cool location with some new exciting talent we're all happy to work with.
Yeah.
And to jar your memory about the lighting, I remember when he comes in through the entrance.
Yeah.
You had rigged
some
light mats, I think, just sort of like up high, like as if there was a window, sort of far side, keying them. But then we did something which I really love, which is you guys. I think you used the Joker 8 bounced into a broken mirror through blinds.
Oh, cool.
Remember that?
Yeah.
And it made that really cool shape on the wall.
Yeah.
To me, like that light on that wall makes that entry scene so good.
Nice.
Like that's my favorite part of it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Broken mirrors are a lot of fun.
Yeah. It's just like
bouncing hard sources.
This
like
imperfect shape, and then through the blinds, like you still saw like the shadow of the blinds there. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Cool. To not necessarily talk about the lighting, but talk about continuity or shooting schedule. Like that was pickup shoot days.
Yeah.
Right.
That was a pickup scene done almost a month after Principal.
Right. That was January 2020.
Right. Yeah.
Just
after
before the holidays,
world,
just before the
pandemic
and everything.
Yeah.
We got the band back together and had to shoot a couple of things, and that scene was definitely something that we had to do after principal photography.
Right.
Yeah.
And the reason we had to do it that way was because originally we were going to have the named talent play that role, and then for whatever reason it didn't work out. And so
the role of the guy who
runs the shop.
Right.
Yeah. So that's why I ended up on the pickup schedule.
I see. Right.
I'm kind of glad it worked out that way because I felt like we came back all refreshed.
Yeah, it was
after
kind of
working really hard days for such a long period of time.
Right. Yeah.
It was nice to do that fresh.
Yeah. I mean, like the shooting schedule and being on location. I think we had like a week at one location and a week. You know what I mean? Like even being on location day after day, which allowed us to kind of walk away from stuff, which is really helpful. It still was really stressful. The idea of like location moving, was very dreadful.
Yeah. Well, I remember when we ultimately had to leave a location, it felt very daunting to get out of there. I was like, wow, we're like moving houses. Like emotionally. It was a lot to think about.
It's like my cart's been here for a week.
Yeah, right.
I gotta move it.
Yeah.
But the pawn shop, I think
after he gets there, he talks to the shop owner, he invites him to the back. Then the cameras pulled back behind one of the long shelves, and we put a long, like 12-foot Dana dolly back there.
Yeah,
and we're moving in profile with them through the shop, and then panning to the end where the computer is that he wants to buy. But I remember we had like sources that they'd walk in and out of, and I'm pretty sure those were light mats or something similar.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, there must have been some of the light mats. Yeah. Because that was pretty contained, soft source that they could walk in and out of. And
right.
Yeah, we had the tubes because I think we had to do the spinning gag thing again.
Yep.
And when he turns on the computer.
You want it or not?
How much for just this, the monitor?
Hold on.
So I got cabbage, I got eggplant. What else you need, man? Hold on. Hold on a second.
You okay, Slick?
You know, jumping into a feature film and working together day in, day out under extreme circumstances, especially like an indie feature, you know, I think having a solid relationship between, especially two people like a DP and a gaffer helps a lot, you know.
Right. Yeah.
As far as, you know, getting over all the hurdles and everything. And I mean, luckily, you and I have been working together for like a long time.
Yeah, like over 10 years.
10 years, yeah. I don't know if I could put words to your taste or your style or whatever, but like I feel like I understand it, and I feel like a lot of times like we'll totally be on the same page, and I think that's just from having all that experience under our belt, you know?
Yeah, no, I think it's like certainly a shorthand, you know? And like,
You're right.
I remember all the time, like there'd be times where we're thinking like, oh man, if we just did something there, and then there you are on the radio calling in that light, doing that exact thing, and we hadn't even talked about it, you know? And I feel like that's just like something that comes with all that experience. And, And you had such a great team too. Like everyone like wanted to be there, and was so great at their jobs.
Yeah, we had some young up and comers there, really learning a lot on that set. But you know, we took them with open arms, and I was grateful that all those people were there. And sometimes there was a revolving door crew-wise for G&E, but you know, everybody came in smiling, and maybe they weren't smiling in the middle, but they were smiling somehow on as they would leave the set, you know, which was huge because they would come back the next day, you know. Another thing I kind of want to talk about our relationship and even our relationship with Alrik was that like this was like a huge culmination of like a lot of things between, you know, I would say probably the three of us, you know, Alrik the director, you as the DP, and me as the gaffer, like the three of us kind of have been on this journey together that was leading up to this, as far as especially projects
we've done a couple short films with Alrik before,
a handful of short films and some corporate stuff, and you know, but mostly those short form narrative things. That this was kind of like the culmination of that, which was very exciting, and I think really propelled us to go gung-ho with it and be very ambitious and try to get as much out of it and make it as best as it could be.
Yeah, and when we've been talking about this film specifically with Alrik for almost all that time too, so this is something we've been like waiting for.
Right, you know? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like years ago, I got this script, you know, sending it to us, and we would be reading it, and and then we finally got to make it happen, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
For me, a takeaway on this movie was time. I feel like there's never enough time.
That's what
so just trying to be as efficient as possible at the time you got. And then if anyone ever offers you more time, you take it. I know in other situations when a short film, like, can we pull this off in 2 days? And like you want to tell them what they want to hear, but like it's good to be like, no, we need that third day, you know, stuff like that. Like I just felt like all the time we were short on time. So
this morning I was trying to think, you know, like what was there one thing that I really would have wanted, like, and what was it? More more gear, more crew, and it was hands down more like 10 more days.
Right.
Give us 10 more days to help make the movie, and slow down and be less reactionary and be more methodical and let the scenes breathe and let us figure it all out and just be slower about it. But I mean, that's just that's costs so much money to add another 2 weeks probably.
We're dreaming here.
Yeah,
this
I know.
Is us dreaming. Yeah,
right. Yeah, totally. I mean, it wouldn't be like 18Ks or it wouldn't be anything like that. It would just be more time. You know.
Yeah. I feel the same way. I would take less toys and tools and take time.
Right.
And that was a big takeaway for me on this film.
Yes.
I would love to have had more time. Yeah. I think what our AD Hilton did for us in creating this very strict program of we had our blocking rehearsals.
Right.
And then the keys come in and we talk about our strategy and then we shoot, and following that almost religiously in every scene was key, because I think so many times you get rushed into we're just going to start lighting and then we're going to bring actors in and then that stands in the shot, or this doesn't work, or all these things. But taking that block and rehearsal and using it to
what is it? It's block, light, rehearse, tweak, shoot, I think is the...
Okay, cool. A few more steps in there.
Yeah, a couple more steps in that. But I totally agree. Hilton brought that every time, and without Hilton or without that structure, the golden rules of making films, So I think to someone new watching this who wants to make a movie, get a professional AD somehow.
There you go. Yeah, you're right.
that knows how to schedule your shoot.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And keep the schedule and keep the troops rolling. Yeah, for sure. And I don't know, just do it.
Right.
At the same time, it's never going to be perfect. The circumstances under which you're going to try to make a movie, just won't. And you just do it and do the best.
Right.
And just go for it.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. That's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you learned something. Again, I'm with Jason Joseffer, the DP of The Alternate. My name is Matt Stouppe. I was the gaffer on the project. And thanks so much to Luke for having us on the Meet the Gaffer episode. We'll see you next time. Take care. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, I thought I saw Simone.
I think you're just stressed. I'm stressed too. I'm gonna miss you.
Sorry, I have to go.